A wonderful day to everyone. My name is Quiambao, and today I will be presenting my study. But before anything else, I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the panel members who helped me in improving my study, starting with Professor Jasmine Villanueva, Dr. Arnelio Valerio, Mr. Jonathan Ulit, Professor Danica Marcelo, Professor Mary Sheena Cruzado, Dr. Mini Lianco, especially to my advisor, Professor Aika Carla David Briones. And also, I would like to thank Ma'am Leslie Torres, the GS coordinator, and the Dean of the College of Education, Dr. Glenn M. Calaguas, for the supervision. So, this study is entitled The Development and Validation of a Self-Learning Module in Afro-Asian Literature. To start with, let us have a brief background of the study. Education has been globally accepted as a fundamental right of all children, which should be available without restriction with respect to boundaries and discrimination. Thus, it is the responsibility of relevant government to ensure the provision of quality education at all. That is according to Karyawasan in 2019. An educational institution has to deliver products and services necessary to achieve outcomes it intends to produce. That is according to Javier in 2014. An educational authority stated that development and production of textbooks and other instructional materials are necessary in order to achieve the objectives of education according to Naval 2014. However, as of November 2016, DepEd data showed shortages that the agency is yet to meet, including 235 million instructional and other learning materials. That is according to UMIL in 2017. Moreover, the Alliance of Concerned Teachers, or ACT, scored the Department of Education over the supposed lack of printed learning materials documented in various public schools nationwide, as stated by Mateo in 2019. As reported by Terrazola in 2019, the lack of books in the country's public schools, where the DepEd in 2018 delivered only 11.2 million books and learning materials, or 31% of its target 38.6 million to students. Unfortunately, the Philippines is quite behind as compared with other countries in terms of the quality of education, that is according to the study of Ragayan and Dolit in 2019. Furthermore, it has been noticed that aside from the late delivery of learning packages, especially for grade 2 and 8 students as part of the implementation of the K-12 program, most of the textbooks currently available for students might be obsolete. Manila Bulletin 2013. With this, numerous studies suggested that the modular approach can be an effective means of teaching the students and therefore should be widely used at various levels of education. That is according to the study of Ali et al. In 2010, Sadiq and Zamir in 2014. For the statement of the problem, this study generally aimed to develop a self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature. Specifically, the study sought to answer the following questions. How may the self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature be developed? Second, how may the developed self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature be validated by the experts in terms of first, content, second, format, and third, pedagogy? For the research design, the study utilized research and development design. The study purposefully selected 5 experts from the DepEd Division of Pampanga as the validators of the self-learning module, 3 English language teachers at least at master's degree holder, grade 8 teachers or grade 8 teacher and an English critic. Among the five validators, three were from other schools. So this study underwent two stages, the development and the validation. For the results and discussion, here are the following results. For the first table, which is table 1, development of self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature underwent three stages, namely development, validation, and output. The K-12 curriculum guide for English 8 was the basis of the learning competencies. On the other hand, the self-learning module was composed of the parts following the released elements of the body of the alternative delivery model or ADM module for grade 4 to 12 by the Department of Education. So the researcher used the evaluation instrument and the rating sheet for the nodal provided by Graduate Studies of Pampanga State Agricultural University with a checklist validation sheet of essential and not essential topics. The module was reviewed and validated by a set of validators who were experts in the field of English and were all master's degree holders with more than 3 years in service. Next is Table 2.1, Content Validity Ratio of the number of respondents indicating essential. For Table 2.1, that shows the ratio of the number of respondents indicating essential for the topics which were used in the development of the self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature. There were 74 topics included in the module, evaluated by 8 English teachers. Based on the validation, 8 out of 8 validators indicated essential on the following topics: cohesive devices, reading techniques, the hands of blacks, idioms, context clues, collocations, stress, what is an educated Filipino, the soul of the great bell, the story of the aged mother, famous African writers, features of American literature, content and function words, body language, topic sentence or supporting sentence, different types of paragraphs, literal and figurative language, kinds of conflict, tone and mood, the tale of the woodcutter and the tiger, the literature of Myanmar, Psalm 23, context clues forms, the story of Ruth, basic propaganda techniques, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, affixes, literary communication, elements of speech choir, inferring, opinion piece, passive and active voice, speech choir, and the anatomy of a Filipino, and had a content validity ratio or CVR of 1, describing an essential, indicating that the topics were necessary for the self-learning module. Next, 7 out of 8 validators answered essential in the topics including steps in scheming, why sinigang, I am an African child, Japanese and Chinese traditions, peach, how to write a conclusion, Sawadi, hello, beautiful Bangkok, Makato and the cowrie shell, the two brothers, short story, the taxi-man story. In the Indonesian literature, the legend of Banyuwangi, the classical literature of Myanmar, on the three evils, Korean literature, Arabian culture, Africa, direct and indirect speech, fable, the vanity of the rat, features of journalistic writing, following instruction, guideline, rules, and regulations, journalistic writing and text types, and got a content validity ratio or CVR of 0.75 labeled as essential. Also, 6 out of 8 validators indicated essential for the following topics: Outwitting a Crocodile, the modern Vietnam literature, Aung San Suu Kyi, the short essay, Vision, Tale of Chunyang, modern Israeli literature, fantasy versus reality, telephone conversation, the Singa, with a content validity ratio of 0.5, considered essential for the self-learning module. And lastly, 5 out of 8 validators indicated essential in 9 literary pieces, namely Chinese Parable, The Last Axe, The Devouring Rock, The Century Carver, The Golden Star, Fruit Tree, the Cat, On Rise the People's Health, A Boat to Lebosa, On Sites of Cultural Interchange, and a Wonder Tree, having a content validity of 0.25. The result implies that the 74 topics which were validated by the English 8 teachers were all considered essential and needed to be included in the self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature. For Table 2.2.1 shows the validation of the self-learning module as regards to the content. It appeared that all 4 validators already agreed that the self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature met the standards written from statements 1.1 to 1.5. The result conveys that the self-learning module complied with all the parameters based on the evaluation tool prescribed by the institution. As stated by Tan Espinar and Baleado in 2017, a module must be acceptable and contents should be valid. Next, for Table 2.2.2, showing the design or showing the validation of the self-learning module concerning the design or format, it revealed that on the initial evaluation, one of the 4 validators did not agree in the statement 2.2. Proper spacing is observed in between text, sentences, and paragraphs, including margin and indentation to avoid congested page. After some revisions made by the researcher, the final validation resulted with all 4 validators agreeing with the statements from 2.1 to 2.5. This means that on the initial validation, there were some parts in the module that needs improvement as suggested by the validators, which include the character spacing and letter capitalization. Similarly, the result supports the study of Saga in 2013, which mentioned that a module that is well organized and well designed and is appropriate for the student's vocabulary level and performance allows the development of higher cognitive skills. And lastly, for Table 2.2.3, which shows the validation of the self-learning module with regards to the pedagogy, it revealed that on the initial evaluation, one of the 4 validators did not agree in the statements 4.5, the module provides provision for individual, and 4.7, the module also provides good feedback mechanism so learners can regularly receive formative feedback on learning. After some revision, all 4 validators unanimously agreed that the statements from 4.1 to 4.7 were already achieved. This result affirms the statement of Sejpal in 2013 that the subsequent common features of module can be illustrious, that is self-contained, with independent instruction component, methodically prepared, well-defined, and with the means of gauging the work. Thus, the self-learning module met all the standards and showed reliability until the final validation. Alright, for the conclusion, based on the results of the study, the following conclusions are drawn. First, a self-learning module in Afro-Asian literature is developed and validated following the competencies of the K-12 curriculum guide for grade 8. Second, The evaluation instrument and rating sheet from the NODL provided by the Graduate Studies of Pampanga Agricultural State University or Pampanga State Agricultural University with a checklist validation sheet of essential and not essential topics is used in validating the self-learning module. And third, there were 74 topics regarded as essential by the validators in the self-learning module. Fourth, revisions are made by the following feedback by following the feedback of the validators on the initial validation. And most of the statements under content, design, or format and pedagogy are agreed by the experts after the final validation. Further recommendation, considering the aforementioned results and conclusions, the following recommendations are hereby suggested. The developed self-learning module can be used to complement the teaching of Afro-Asian literature among grade 8 students. Development of self-learning module provides more flexibility to distance teaching mode as well as to learners. Thus, teachers are encouraged to craft materials that could facilitate learning in any way. Third, the crafted self-learning module may be adopted by DepEd to serve as supplementary teaching material and can serve as a solution to the issue of lack of materials in English 8. Fourth, more trainings and seminar workshops should be given to teachers in construction and validation of learning materials like modules. And lastly, future researchers may consider conducting similar studies along with the present study. That ends my presentation, and thank you so much for listening. Again, my name is Joy Quiambao with a study entitled Development and Validation of a Self-Learning Module in Afro-Asian Literature. Thank you for watching and have a nice day ahead. Goodbye.